Why do some schools and their students perform better than others? What are the causes contributing to student dropouts? The causes are many, they are well documented. It's discovering the solutions that work best for a community. We discuss on a special edition Newsmakers, helping our students graduate. The impacts of underachieving students produce a lifetime of lower earnings, a dependency on social services, and an increase in crime. Today, on a special edition of Newsmakers, helping our students graduate, we'll tackle the causes and talk about the responsibilities of students, teachers, parents, and the entire community. WGBU has received one of 61 grants awarded nationwide by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to raise awareness about the high school dropout crisis, which exceeds 50% in some local areas. WGBU's local project, Get Your Diploma, Get Your Dream, is part of American Graduate. Let's Make It Happen, a public media initiative made possible by the CPB. We're partnering with leaders from the education and the corporate communities in West Michigan and tapping into the real-world experiences of teachers, parents, and students, discussing the causes, effects, and potential solutions. Joining me now, that was a mouthful, Carol Payne-McGovern, your Director of Kent School Services Network. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Christian Chavez Jimenez, you're a Union High School senior.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. Alexis Brown, you're with Ottawa Hills High School. You're a senior there, and I'm guessing a cheerleader. Thank you for joining us also. And Bobby Springer, Associate Director, Office of Grand Valley State University's Multicultural Affairs. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That was Multicultural Affairs.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
This is an epidemic that we're seeing. The dropout numbers in the intro there, in some places over 50%. I don't know who wants to start here. I guess, Carol, what are we seeing? What are the main causes that are contributing to this?
Well, I think if you look at what students bring to school with them every day, and I think kind of a nice analogy I heard was that, you know, most students come to school with a backpack. And in that backpack are all the tools they need for their classes, their books and pencils and papers and whatever, and computers now, laptops are. But also there's another backpack with a lot of students that come with what's going on in their life. They don't have enough food at home. The utilities have been shut off. They don't have a place to live. There's substance abuse or whatever it is, that there's other things in those backpacks that make their hearts heavy. And so it's trying to figure out how do we level the playing field by being able to break down those barriers that many students come to school with that they're not able to learn.
We're going to put up a graphic here and take a look at some of the statistics. Nationwide, 3 out of every 10 students in America's public schools fail to finish high school. The Alliance for Excellent Education estimates that high school dropouts from just 1 year cost the United States $329 billion in lost wages, taxes, and productivity. And dropouts are more likely to be incarcerated, to rely on public programs and social services, and to go without health insurance. Again, the impacts are enormous. Bobby, how do we get our arms around this? Is it too big of a problem? Is this a national issue, or do we need to focus on this locally and address it that way?
I think it is a national problem, and we do have to focus on it on a local level. Just last week, you know, I heard a national number that every 26 seconds someone is dropping out of high school. I mean that is not good for our country. I was had a scholarly individual here in town yesterday, and listening to his presentation, he shared something that just made me stand up in my seat. He shared that students are bored in the classroom. He went on to say that boredom has become the elephant in the classroom. So we're doing education like we did many, many years ago, and times have changed. We have students are connected with iPhones and computers and all this technology, but we're still doing things like we did many years ago, and it's just not a connection, and therefore students don't want to be in school.
You're in the classroom. Who wants to take this? What are you bored in the classroom, Alexis? I mean, what are some of the elements there that either motivate you to learn or kind of put the brakes on things?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm usually bored in the classroom, but it does happen sometimes. But my motivation is to actually get good grades. So if you're an actual motivated student, the boredom factor really doesn't influence you. But for others, I can see that they get like really tired of it.
Christian?
Well, I'm not gonna say don't get bored in class, because I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has those moments where you just doze off, and you know they do get bored because pretty long lectures do get pretty boring. But I guess what Bobby said about technology, like I guess the stuff in school doesn't connect with students as well because of all the technology around. And I heard from our school that they have these smart boards or something, and I'm not really sure what that is because we don't got that at my school. So I guess all we really got in the school are the books and some Elmos. I mean, they're not really relating to the students as well.
And then there are distractions in the classroom too. Do you run into that as well that make it difficult, even under the current set of standards that we use in a classroom? I mean, Carol was talking about those backpacks that are brought into the classroom that every student has, all those issues at home. Does that interfere with learning in the classroom as well?
I think there are lots of distractions in class because there are those students that I guess are, I don't want to say going to dropout rate, but there are students that just don't make the right choices and do end up just talking louder than they're supposed to. And it distracts the kids that do want to do the work and want to get ahead. So it doesn't help them out at all.
So what is it that drives somebody to drop out? Is it all those external issues that's carried along? Is it, as you say, making choices and deciding this isn't what I truly want to do? Because you have to start somewhere, right?
Well, I think it's a combination of all we've kind of been talking about, but Bobby brings up a good point. If it's not relevant and you get to the high school and you're thinking, okay, why am I sitting in this class? Where does this get me? And I think a lot of it is the relevance today. And you know, if you have these dreams of this is what I want to do, then are there opportunities within the schools to have a mentorship or to shadow someone or an internship and to really see what those opportunities for professions post high school would mean and going on to college and building those relationships with other folks that may be working in areas that people might be interested in, the students might be interested to continue their curiosity.
And for the viewer, I mean, we've all been meeting. This is part of a long-term project that that WGVU is involved in here, and Grand Valley State University, your representative there. We've talked, and it's that starting point. And I know that you're involved on the ground floor with students, and I think potentially with their parents. You're trying to show students the world and the potential that's out there. Describe the program that you're involved in.
At Grand Valley, we have the Gear Up program. We've had it for the past 5 years, a 6-year grant through the federal government and the state with collaboration with Grand Valley. And we started working with students when they were in the 7th grade, 2006. And now we find ourselves working with them in their final year of high school. And what we've tried to do over the years is to share with them that college is a goal that they can have. We've taken the time to have them to come to campus on a number of occasions. We've had them to stay overnight during the summertime. We've taken them to other universities around the state of Michigan. So we've tried to show them and let them feel the university in order that, and also have them connect with other college students to share with them, hey, you can do this if you continue to work hard and make good decisions.
Is there a correlation with students dropping out and parents who have dropped out as well? Is there a connection there that, well, my parents dropped out, they're doing okay, I can do the same thing?
Could possibly be part of it, and if the parents don't understand what it takes to get to college, if they didn't have that experience themselves, or nor that dream. But I think all parents have dreams for their children. Now, all parents want their children to do great and go on and fulfill their dreams. And so it's just, how do we get all that information out so the parents are on board, and then they can continue and work with their children on how to make it happen.
You're bringing parents along as well?
Right, and I would also share, add on to that. Some parents, if you haven't been there, you just don't know. But for some students, my parents didn't complete high school, didn't go to college. Hey, but I want to be that first one who completes high school. For myself, my parents never completed high school, and they really encouraged me to complete high school, and I did, and I went on to college and was the first one in my family to graduate from college. But sometimes, students get that something inside that makes them want to do more, and when that happens, sometimes it can rub off on their friends as well.
Your parents, how much of an influence are they on you?
A really big influence.
What do they promote and ask you to strive for?
Well, they just want us to do the best we can do at all times. Like, from a young age, I knew I was going to go to college regardless of what I wanted to do.
Do you know what you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
I want to go into fashion design and merchandising.
And are you taking steps now to focus on those
I'm taking
things?
a class at CC.
How does that make you feel? That you're like, hey, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. Are there people you look up to who you say, I want to strive to be like this designer, or I love these fashions?
Well, sorta. I don't really focus on one person, but I just know that that's a field I really want to go into.
Same question for you, Christian.
Oh, well, my mom has actually been a really, really big help because, she didn't go to college, and ever since she's seen that I wanted to go to college, she's been always there for me. Like, whenever I had problems in school, she would always help me out any way she could. And she's helped me so much.
I'll admit, when I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. You're just taking classes, but it all adds up to something. Do you feel the same way? Does everybody know exactly what they want to do in life, or do you have fellow students who really aren't really certain of what they want to do?
Well, I'm not going to say every student knows what they want to do, because I do know a couple of people that aren't really sure what they want to do yet. But I guess something that could help them with a job is, I guess, their interest helps them find a job or find out what they want to do.
So it's okay not to know,
yeah,
right? But it's the case of following through and staying at least the course of education. The importance of a community initiative in trying to solve the dropout rate. We're looking at corporate help in this matter as well. How important is it that corporations within the community try to solve the dropout issue?
Well, I think everyone needs to be at the table. There's a place and there's a room for everyone at the table. Corporations have a vested interest. They want their future employees to come at, having graduated from high school, college, and have a curiosity and a desire to excel. And so they should be at the table too, and to see what are the needs of the students and the families in our community, and how do we help out in any way we can.
Who's at the table right now?
Oh, I think it's hard. The list is long. I think from early childhood, we have folks that say, children need to be ready to walk in the door in kindergarten. So what do we do to have an early childhood success in this community? That's very, very strong. Folks are working on that through First Steps and the Great Start Collaborative. We've got folks at the table from once people and students enter school that are there to mentor. They're there as mentors. They're there tutoring after school, from faith-based to corporations to local businesses to the United Way with their Schools of Hope. You've got a lot going on with the Kent College Access Network, and looking at how do we really encourage first-generation students to go on to college, and how do we make it easy for the parents to understand the process and the students. And so there's a wide variety of initiatives and literacy that everyone seems to come to the table within this community to try to work with all the districts around Kent County.
But if a student's bored or doesn't care, how do you reach that student?
You have to, continue to expose them to situations that they haven't had a chance to connect with yet. And, once again, students, when I work with students throughout the Grand Rapids Public Schools, the students who have a dream, you can just see their passion. I mean, they they don't know exactly, what they want to do or how they're going to get there, but they have some idea, and because of that, they do their best, in the classroom. They complete those homework assignments, and then when you look at the other students who don't have that dream, they're just drifting in the school building. I mean, they're not connected. I mean, they really don't know where they want to go, and dreaming is very important. Myself, I always, I wanted to be a professional athlete, and what's so significant about that is, in order to do that, I had to complete my high school in order to go to college. And then when I made it to college, although I didn't, become a professional, I continued to do my work in college, and I found myself completing my college degree, which helped me to become a professional. And now I have the opportunity to work with high school students and give back to my community.
You're motivated. You wanted to do it. There's this thing called the knowledge gap, and in the documentary, No Textbook Answer, that seems to be front and center in the documentary. Let's take a closer look at the knowledge gap and how it impacts this discussion that we're having.
Ask any education expert what the achievement gap is, and they'll tell you the persistent gap in academic achievements between white and minority students, between affluent and low-income students, between English-speaking and non. Education experts have been researching, analyzing, and probing the causes of this gap for over 30 years now. In fact, one of the major goals of the No Child Left Behind Act was to eliminate the gaps between these different groups of children. And no wonder. This gap, often double digits in test scores, graduation rates, and college completion rates, has disastrous effects that extend far beyond the classroom and schoolyard. The disparity in academic achievement is linked to a variety of problems: lower lifetime earnings, an increased dependence on social services, a higher incidence of crime and imprisonment. Many states determine how many prison cells to build based on the rate at which third graders are reading below grade level. Education professionals have been trying to diagnose and fix this problem for years now. Yet, despite all the studies, the conferences, the reports, despite all the money, resources, and expertise poured into schools, the achievement gap remains. So, in 2007, the communities whose children actually make up the achievement gap came together in forums around the country to talk about the gap as they saw it. They saw a gap that involved more than test scores, and they saw solutions that involved more than schools.
So we're seeing a lot of disparities here, a lot of inequalities here, whether it's affluence versus poor, black, white. I mean, there's something going on here that is contributing to this dropout rate that we're seeing. How do we begin to narrow this gap and get all students on the same page? Does it start with teachers in the classroom? Is it the disparity of economic classes? It just seems like this huge, huge dilemma that this country faces, and those economic impacts are long-term and lingering. So where do we start in the classroom?
A couple of things that come to mind is resources. If you have the resources, you can do more things. Grand Rapids Public Schools, and sometimes the students all don't have a book. So therefore, if I don't have a book, that means when I go home that night, I can't do my homework. Also, something else that comes to mind is the best teachers are in some of the districts that have the most resources. So therefore, if I have, the cream of the crop teachers, and they're not in those districts that have less resources, you know, the gap continues to grow.
So you're saying let's spread the wealth a little bit more and to help those districts that are struggling? Is that typically one of the best solutions to this?
Well, I think it's also starting at the school building and what are the needs of those students and families that walk through those doors every day. And if there are high needs and you know, that there's no housing, or there's high, if the health of the students isn't good, if you don't have the resources for mental health services and to provide those resources in a school, so where the children and families are coming every day to help them become healthier, both mentally and physically, to provide the resources they may need, public assistance, to really look at how do we stabilize those families, and if there's language barriers, offering you know, literacy classes, and to make sure that the needs of those students and families in that school building are being met.
So the idea is to make a school building more of a community center.
Right.
At what cost?
Well, it's where the partnerships come in. The Kent School Services Network is an initiative of building community schools within Kent County and 6 of the school districts. And each school looks a little bit different, whether it's an elementary school or a high school. It's really assessing the needs of the students and families there and bringing those services and supports into the school that are needed. And often it's just relocating services from mental health services into the schools, and health services and Department of Human Services into the schools, where the staff then work locally in a school where the families are to provide those services.
Do you two know students who have either dropped out or are teetering on the brink of dropping out, and what some of those causes might be and what some of the solutions could be in the classroom?
I actually have a brother that didn't finish high school, and a reason of that was, I guess, he got a job from there, and I guess, like, I don't know what it could have been, but what I'm guessing was, I guess he seen that he was, you know, getting money, you know, actually paying, and then after he realized that, okay, you know, I'm getting paid, I have money, I'm guessing he thought he could survive from there. Then after that, I guess he just decided not to finish high school and just dropped out.
How old is he now?
Right now he's 20.
Is he considering?
Actually, he went back to school. He's going back to school, and he's finishing classes right now. And if he stays on track, he should be able to finish by January.
Have you talked talked about the lesson that was learned here? I mean, has he been open about it and said, hey, this might not have been the best idea? It sounded good at the time, but I have bigger dreams?
Yeah, we actually have talked about it with me, him, my mom, and he's seen, I guess, that he didn't make the best choice, and he actually found something that he started liking, and then after he found out what he liked, he actually went to school and started looking around to see who could help him the most.
What does he want to do now?
He wants to be a mechanic.
Excellent. Same question, Alexis. Do you have friends or students who you know that are teetering right now on the brink?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I know some people that could come close just because their grades are low and they might start thinking, well, I'm falling behind, so I might as well quit now. But not really, no.
Do they understand what could happen if they quit now?
Yeah, I think they might not. But I think if other students and people that they know, like, kind of let them know, like, hey, you shouldn't drop out, it's a bad idea, maybe they'll stay on track.
You've met a lot of these kids in the schools.
You know, sometimes students, I mean, they do drop out. You know, experience is probably the best teacher, and sometimes, I might drop out here, but I try to get a job over here, I try to do something else over here, but everything goes back to the education. So therefore, at some point, I find myself enrolling, whether I'm 19 or 20, back into some education situation where I complete my GED and decide to move on to a community college. But sometimes, students do have to live and they have to bump their heads in order to realize that everything goes back to the education, whether I didn't get it when I should have 2 years ago, but I'm going to make sure that I take care of business now, and I see that a lot in the inner city.
All right, we're going to have to end it there. Carol Payne McGovern, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Patrick.
Christian Chavez Jimenez, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alexis Brown
Thank you.
and Bobby Springer, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this special edition of Newsmakers. We'll see you next week.